Hello everyone, welcome to Learn DAX channel. My name is Siddesh and this is the seventh and final part of the end-to-end DAX project video series in which we are taking a bunch of business problems and then converting them into DAX queries. If you haven't watched the first six parts, I really encourage you to go ahead and watch those six parts and then come and watch this video as it would make a lot more sense. I'll leave the link of those six videos in the description so you can check them out. Besides, you'll also find a link to the dataset in the description, which not only contains the product and the sales dataset, but it also includes the DAX queries that I've used until this demonstration, as well as the DAX queries that I'll be using in this video, plus some additional DAX queries which I'll mention at the end of this video. So without further ado, let's get started and let's try and understand what business problems do we have for today. So let me go to my PowerPoint. So the first question that we have today is to calculate the repeat orders by customers. We have to mention the customer ID, the product name, the order ID, the order date, and the sales amount. Wow, that was too much to absorb in just one sentence. So let's try and break this thing down and understand what exactly are we looking at. So I've just created an Excel table which is going to break this thing down and what exactly we're going to look at while trying to solve this problem. So let me go to my Excel sheet real quick. So the first thing that we want from what the business has asked us is that I want to know the customer ID, the product ID, the product name, the order ID, the order date, the sales amount, and the total sales amount. Well, still, even after seeing this, it still doesn't make any sense to me. So I'm going to just populate this with some dummy data and try and understand what exactly are we looking at here. So let's say there is a customer ID 1, and let's say that customer ID has purchased a product with product ID 123. And let's say that the product name that he has purchased is a charger. So let's say the order ID for the charger is going to be, let's say, A123. And the order date is, let's say, 1st of July. 1st July 2024. And the sales amount should be, let's say, 100. So the total sales amount is going to be 100. So far so good. Now let's take a look back at the problem statement where it's saying that give me the repeated orders. So if I observe my Excel, so I don't see a repeated order in here. So what am I trying to solve, or what is the ideal output that we are trying to generate using this query? So in order to do that, I'll just create another row and try and explain what we are exactly trying to do here. So let's say there is a customer ID 2 and he has brought a product ID with product ID as 100, and let's say the product that he has bought should is a headphone, and let's say the order ID is B456. Now this is his first order, and let's say he has placed his order on 2nd July 2024, and let's say the sales amount was, how much should a headphone cost? 250. Yeah, sounds about right. So the total sales amount is also going to be 250. But now, when I say I want a repeated order, what I want is that the customer ID 2 has bought this product ID, and that is the product name. But now I'm going to populate another order ID in the same row. So let's call it C789. That's a very creative way of naming the order IDs A123, B456, C789. And let's say he has bought this product on the 3rd of July. So 3rd July 2024. So he has placed an order on just consecutive days. And the second time, then he paid the same amount, let's say 250, which is the same product. So in this case, the total sales amount is going to be 500. So this, the second row that you're seeing, this is exactly what I want to see using my DAX. So how are we going to build that? To build that, we are going to introduce a new function in today's video, which is the concatenate X function. So let's take a look at this DAX query, how we build it. So let's go to our Power BI and let's create a new table, and we will call it repeated orders customer is equal to, I'm going to use my favorite function. It's the summarize function because we have used it so frequently that it's kind of become my second nature now to use summarize everywhere. So what are the things that we need? We need the customer ID, product ID. So let me just put here customer ID. We need the product ID. which I can get from again sales product table. What else do I need? I need the product name, so I'll just write product name. What else do I need? I need the order ID, order date. Well, this is something that I will have to get through my DAX. Like I cannot just write here that okay, give me the order ID and give me the order because this is something that we are calculating. This is something that we are actually evaluating. Product name is something that we are grouping by, but in case of order ID, like you see B456C789, we are creating a comma separate value. This is something that we are calculating. So we are going to write DAX for that. So I'll write, let's say, orders will be. So if I don't use a concatenate X and if I simply use, let's say, give me the order ID. So you see, it is graying out. It's not giving me any, the IntelliSense is not working. It's not populating. But if I use an aggregator, like let's say max, and then write order ID, I think we should have that in the sales table. Let me check once again, sales, order ID, sale ID. It's actually the sale ID in the sales table. So if I, instead of, I mean, I cannot, without using an aggregator, populate this particular DAX query. And the reason is because when summarize is trying to get a unique value for these particular columns, like it is grouping by customer ID, the product ID, and the product name. And so when it is trying to figure out what value should be represented in that particular row, it needs to understand in what context. Do you want the maximum value? Do you want the minimum value? It cannot populate all the values that are possible. So we have to use an aggregator in this case. So let's see what happens if I just use this table. Let's see what do I get. So I pull out the customer ID. We want, what else do we want? We want the product ID. Let's change this to don't summarize. Yeah, so there are three customers, three product IDs. Let's take a look at the orders that they have placed. So there are, is it summarizing? Yeah, it should not summarize it. And then this is the product name. So this is the order or the number of orders. Or wait, let's just check if it is summarizing. No, it's not summarizing. These are actually the order numbers. Okay. So if I just add one more column to this, that will make it more clear. I'll just add the order date. So it would make some more sense. Order date will be max of order date. And I will quickly pull this here onto the table, on this table itself. So I change the summarization to just order date. And I just change the settings so that it just gives me a short date format instead of the long format. So let me just filter this down so that maybe the product name is just headphone, maybe. Yeah. So what we see here is that the customer ID 1 purchased this product on the 25th of December 2023 and the order ID was 20. Customer 2 purchased this product on the 20th of August 2023. So we have the data such that we have an individual occurrence of this particular transaction that has happened or this particular sale that has happened. But let us verify if headphone was only sold once to customer ID 1. So in order to do that, let's go to the sales table, and I believe that the product ID for headphone is 104. So let's filter by product ID 104. So if I filter this, so I see that the product ID 104, which is headphones, was bought twice. See, there are two entries. The first entry is on 20th of August and the second entry is on 14th of May. But in my table, I only see one entry, and that's the problem, and that's what we're trying to solve. See, if you look here, the customer ID 2 has only one entry, which is of 20th of August. But if I go to my sales table and if I check that the occurrence of the sale has happened not only on 20th August but on 14th of May. But the reason why it is considering the 20th of August is because we have used the max function. So this is the bigger date. And so this is the problem that we are trying to tackle. So how do we do that? So let's go back to our table once again. Now, instead of using the max function, what I'm going to do is I'll use a concatenate x function. So what that does is I will give you, I will specify that from the sales table, all the sales ID corresponding to the above columns get all of those values. So it will make more sense when I start typing and when you see the result. So I'm going to get the sale ID from the sales table. So the first thing is going to be sales. The second is the expression. What do I want? I want the sale ID, right? So the order ID is essentially the sale ID in this table. Then what should be the delimiter? I want it to be separated by comma and a space. And yeah, that should be it. And I'll follow the similar suit for the second for the order date as well. So I'll just copy here and copy this and paste it here. We do not need a sale ID, rather we would need a sale order ID for this. So let me go to the order ID, order date. So it's the order date. But I notice here I'm getting this error sign. Yeah, that's because of this comma. And I also call this as order ID. So ideally what should happen now is the sales table is going to be like the concatenate function is going to concatenate all the sales that have happened for this for any particular customer ID, product ID, and product name. And it is going to give return all those values in a single row. So let me hit enter and see what happens. Argument 4 in concatenate x is required. I think I have added an additional comma here, which I'll just remove. And then I'll hit enter. Argument 4 in concatenate. Okay, I've added an additional comma here as well. I need to remove that. Yeah, so what's the issue here? Fix this. Okay, because we changed the name of the order date and order ID, which is why it's giving us this error. So now, like I said, for the product ID 2, let me just kind of increase its font size because it's not visible. So let me just change its formatting. Let me go to effects, visual border. Where do I increase the font size? Values. Yeah, values. I want to make it. Yeah, now it's much bigger. I can also change the column headers size. Yeah, now it's much better. So, like I said, that for headphones, two sales have happened. First on 20th of August and other on 14th of May. So the sale IDs corresponding were 10 and 5, which is the order ID. And when I go back to my visual, what I see here is that yes, the order ID was 5, the order ID was 10, and the order dates were 14th of May and 20th of August respectively. So we are done until then, until that part. But what else do we want as per our requirement? We also want the sale amount for those particular orders and the total sales amount. So we are going to again go back and add a couple of more rows to this. So I'll just mention the sales amount will again be concatenate x sales, and in this case it's going to be sales amount, and then the delimiter is going to be a comma, then I close the bracket, and then the last argument is going to be the total sales. So I can just use sum x and then sales and the sales amount. So this will give me the sum of the sales amount. If I hit enter and I go back to this table, and let me pull these two values again, which is the sales amount and the total sales. So what I should get is 480 and 720 from my sales table. So let me go back to my sales table. Let me verify the sales amount. It is 480 and 720. Okay, so we have verified that 480 and 720. And let me also verify if the sum is correct or not. So let me bring in the calculator here. 480 plus 720. Yeah, it's correct. So we have achieved what we wanted to achieve using this particular DAX. And now if I remove this filter, I just clear this filter and I expand this table. So I can see that for all the orders where there were repetitions, like for example, this tablet, was ordered thrice by customer ID 1, and I have also the dates of those orders besides the sales amount of those orders and the total sales amount. So yeah, we have covered that what we wanted to display in our table in our first business question. So let's move on to the second business question. The second business question is calculate the customer's purchase frequency. Now this is fairly simple. We have the sales table. I'll just clear these filters. So we have a total of 30 entries in our sales table, and customer purchase frequency is nothing but out of those 30, how many times did customer 1 made the purchase? How many times did customer 2 make the purchase? How many times did customer 3 made the purchase? So if I just filter this by, let's say, customer 1, so how many rows do I get? If I go to the bottom of the screen, I am seeing that the value is 10 filtered rows, so I don't have to count it. If I change this to customer ID 2 instead, and then again filter it, filter, and then I see at the bottom of the screen it says 11 filtered rows. So if I count it manually, I'll still find that it should be 11. Now, given that customer ID 1 has 10, customer ID 2 has 11, and the fact that there are total 30 entries in a sales table, which means the customer ID 3 should have 9 sales. So let's create a DAX for that. I will call it maybe customer purchase frequency, customer frequency. I'll just call it customer frequency is equal to, what do we use? Our favorite function, summarize. The first argument is the sales table. The second argument will be, what do we want? We want to group it by the customer ID. So it should be customer ID. And then next thing what we want is number of purchases will be count rows. Count rows. Count rows is going to count the number of rows where you will find customer ID 1, then it will count the rows where it's customer ID 2, and then it will count the rows where it's customer ID 3. So I will just write maybe customer ID. Okay, I have to mention the sales table, not the column. It is going to take the context out of the customer ID. I don't have to mention the column name. So let's pull these values, customer ID, convert it into a table, and the number of purchases, change the setting to don't summarize. So yeah, we have verified this. Let me just copy this so that I can change the formatting. That's it. Yeah, so like I explained earlier that customer ID, when we filtered by customer ID 1, there were total 10 filtered rows. When we filtered by customer ID 2, there were 11 filtered rows, and we didn't filter the customer ID 3. It just implied that if there are 21 entries for the first two, there should be 9 for the last one, which we have verified. So we are good with this as well. Now, the third is the most interesting part, because this product analysis is not just going to give us an insights into product analysis, but it's also going to give us some additional DAX queries from this product analysis. So what is product analysis? So in order to explain, I'll quickly go back to my Excel sheet and see, we have sold a certain number of products for a certain amount, the cost of goods sold, the sales amount, then the quantity sold, the number of sales that have happened, what is the average sales, what is the net profit, what is the gross profit, what is the net profit in terms of revenue, what is the gross profit in terms of revenue, what is the net profit in terms of the overall revenue. Let's say product ID 1 has generated a profit of, let's say, rupees 100, but the total revenue for our sales has been 1000 rupees. In that case, the contribution of that product to my overall profit is going to be 10%. So what we are trying to evaluate here is, for each sale that I've made, what is the profit that I'm making in that sale based on the cost of goods sold, as also the amount of profit that I'm making on the total revenue that I've generated through all the sales put together. So in this product analysis, I want the product name, I want the cost of goods sold, I want the total sales, the quantity sold, the number of sales, the average sales, and there are so many other parameters that we can calculate. And this can really help us to analyze how each product is performing. And now what we are going to do is once we are done with the product analysis, we are going to kind of extrapolate this to other areas wherein we are going to do manufacturer analysis, category analysis, the region analysis, the country analysis, the monthly sales analysis. So we can use this template and put it to all those five or six different areas. And so we get to understand that for each sale that was made, what is the percentage of profit that I'm getting from a country, what is the profit that I'm getting from a region, what is the profit that I'm getting from a manufacturer, what is the profit that I'm getting from a particular product category, as also what is the profit that I'm getting for a particular month. So this template can act as something that I can apply to different category, manufacturer, region, payment method, everything. And so I'm going to discuss the product analysis, and I have given the additional DAX queries. So if you look at this sheet, so we are going to discuss this, which is the product analysis. But for your reference, I have also included product category analysis, the product manufacturer analysis, the payment method analysis, the country analysis, the region analysis, as well as the monthly analysis. So you can just copy paste these queries and check for yourself. So let's focus on the product analysis. Let's see what all columns that we are going to use in this particular scenario. So let me go back to my Power BI and let me create a new table. So my table is, let's call it product analysis is equal to, and what function do we use? Simple, summarize, our favorite function. So we have the sales table, and the thing that we are grouping by is the product name. For product analysis, we will have product name. For the manufacturer analysis, we'll have a manufacturer name. For the region analysis, we'll have region name. For the country analysis, we'll have country name. Rest, everything is going to remain the same. Except only this argument is going to change. The rest, everything is going to remain the same. Then what do we want? We want the cost of goods sold. So I will call it cost of goods sold will be COGS. Something that I've already calculated. What is the next parameter? I want the total sales. So that is going to be my total revenue. Then what else do we have? We have the quantity sold, and that is going to be sum x sales quantity. Sales quantity. And what else? We have number of sales. That is going to be sum x, or I think count rows. Sales. We'll verify this. Then we have average sales. So this is the average sales amount, which is going to be average x of the sales and the sales amount. And then we have the net profit, which will be net profit. We already created this measure earlier. Yeah. Then we have the gross profit, which will be gross profit, something that we've already created. Then we have gross profit as a percentage of sales. Gross profit as percentage of sales, which should be divide. I will have definitely gross profit at the top. Now we want gross profit percentage of sales, net profit as a percentage of sales. Well, will it be the total sales or will it be the overall revenue? Let's keep it overall total sales. Net profit percentage of sales will be again divide gross profit divided by total. I think this should be based on gross profit is based on my cost of goods sold, but we'll just verify. I have the query for reference. We'll check it. Then we have gross profit percentage of total revenue. Now that will be, so in this case, when I say gross profit as a percentage of total revenue, like I mentioned, maybe I'm selling a product at a profit of rupees 10, and the sales that have happened across the whole sales table are rupees 1000. That's what the profit contribution of this sale to my total revenue, and that's what I'm going to calculate here. So which is why the formula for this is going to be different. It is going to be sum x all sales, and in that I'm going to use total revenue. So sales revenue, what do I have? Sales amount. Yeah, we have sales amount. So what this is going to do is it is going to negate the effect of the filter context. So even if in my numerator I have the gross profit for this particular product, my denominator is going to be the overall revenue throughout, and we will verify that by using our calculator. Net profit percentage of total revenue divide. Why do I get this line? So far so good. I should not be getting this error, but yeah, let's see. Let's see why we're getting this error. Sum x all sales, sales amount. Well, we are still getting that error. Wonder why. This looks good. This looks good. Okay, I think we have to close this. Yeah, now it's okay. Because in divide we have to give the third argument, which is in case there is a 0 by 0 situation. Because this is going to be a small number, I have to multiply. Because you want a percentage, so we have to multiply by 100. So even here we are going to multiply by 100, and even here we are going to multiply by 100. Let's just verify once from the Excel that we have for reference if our net profit percentage of sales is correct or not. Let me go to the sheet, additional DAX queries. Okay, I am using a measure actually, net profit percentage of total revenue instead of calculating it. Let me go back, net profit percentage of sales. Do I have, I think in my previous video, I think I've calculated that net profit percentage of total revenue. Yeah. And for gross profit percentage, I can simply use gross profit percentage of total revenue. Yeah, this looks good. We have cost of goods sold, total sales, quantity sold, number of sales. Number of sales is coming from, yeah, count rows sales, correct. So yeah, we are good. Looks good to me. So let's just hit enter and try and understand what do we get from this product analysis. So I'll create a new page, or we can actually do it here as well. Product analysis. Yeah, this one. So I'll pull out the product name. So what is it that comes first? First, I need the cost of goods sold. Okay, this is something that I was not expecting. Am I pulling two different values from two different tables? This one, product category analysis. Where did I get this product from then? Let me try again. I have this product analysis table. Yeah, this is the product name. This should be the cost of goods sold. Yeah, now it's correct. The next thing that I want as per my breakdown is total sales. So I'll get the total sales. Then what do I want? I want the quantity sold. What else? Number of sales. What else? Average sales. Net profit. I think we should first get the gross profit, then the net profit, or gross profit and then gross profit percentage of sales. net profit, and then net profit percentage of sales. Then I should get gross profit as a percentage of total revenue and net profit as a percentage of total revenue. Let's just increase font size. I can delete this. I can probably change the canvas settings. I want to make this a little wider and taller. 900 and 1600 should be good enough, I believe. 1600. Yeah, this is much better. Still, I have to scroll a bit. Yeah, now it's good. So what we are seeing here is, let's say I sold a Bluetooth speaker and the cost of goods sold was rupees 100, and the total sales on this speaker was 320 because I and the quantity sold was 2. So you would suggest that if the quantity sold was 2, then why is my average sales only 320? It should be 160, right? Well, that's because this average sales is being calculated on the number of sales that were made for this. So because the number of sales were only 1, so the average sales is 320 in this case. And then we have the gross profit that we made on this product, which is rupees 300. Then the gross profit as a percentage of sales is going to be 300 divided by, I believe, 320. Let's check. Let's verify. 5 to 300 divided by 320. Yeah, that gross profit as a percentage of sales. So profit that I made upon selling a Bluetooth speaker that cost me rupees 100 to make at a price of 320. The profit that I made was rupees 300. So the gross profit percentage of sale is 93.75. But I probably gave some discount, which is why the net profit came out to be 220. So the net profit as a percentage of total sales comes out to be 68.75, which is nothing but 220 divided by 320. Is nothing but, yeah, I think it is 220 divided by 320. Yeah, it is 220 divided by 320. And then what is this gross profit percentage of total revenue and net profit as a percentage of total revenue? So the total revenue we have is 29,765. And so if I calculate what is the contribution of this profit, which is gross profit is 300 to my overall sales, which is 29765 into 100, that comes out to be 1.0078%. This is what's reflecting here. And then what is this 0.74? The net profit that I made was 220 divided by 29765 into, let me do that again, 220 divided by 29765 into 100. So that is 0.7391%. So this 220 is 0.74% of my total revenue. That's what we're calculating here. So now if I replace this product name with either the manufacturer or the product category or the region or the country or the month or the payment method, I'm going to get a similar kind of analysis. And that's what I have attached in this Excel. If I go back to my Excel, so what we discussed here was this analysis. And what you can try after watching this video is you can replace this product's name with the product manufacturer and you get the same analysis. You can replace product category by the country and you'll get the analysis breakdown for the country. And if you replace it with the payment method, you get the same analysis for a payment method. And if you do this for a month, then you get a monthly analysis. So these are the additional queries that you can try after watching this video. And this is something that we have covered in this video. Now, this brings us to the end of this 7-part video series. And I really hope that you enjoyed watching these videos and you learned something from these videos. And if you did, I would really love to hear your feedback in the comments. And if you feel like I missed anything out, please let me know in the comments. I'll try to cover those in my future videos. And I hope to see you soon in the next video. And until then, thanks for watching and happy learning.